Welcome to the MSDW podcast. I'm Jason Gumpert, editor at msdynamicsworld.com. On this episode, we have a very unique conversation coming to you. We will be hearing the story of Ecolab, a Microsoft customer that's undergone major business transformation initiatives with Dynamics 365 and Power Platform. And they've been on that journey with the sponsor of this episode, Avanade. Joining me to get things started today is Abi Sridhar, North America Digital Sales and Service Lead at Avanade. Hey, Abi, welcome.
Thank you, Jason, and hello, everybody. I'd like to start with a super quick intro. My name is Abi Sridhar, and I lead Avanade's digital sales and service offering for North America, which is primarily our Dynamics customer engagement and Power Apps practice. In my role, I lead a team of really wicked smart folks who are out solving complex business problems for our clients by combining strategy, experiences with technology. And in this case, it's specifically Dynamics customer engagement and Power Apps. Now, one of the favorite things about my role is both partnering with our clients to help them transform their business and also being able to share those stories. The organizations that we work with today are focused on empowering people to achieve more with the right technology. And really few have done that as remarkably well as Ecolab, a client that's super near and dear to my heart. Ecolab, if you're not familiar, is a global leader in water, hygiene, and infection prevention solutions. And if you've never heard their brand name before, the odds are you've been touched by them in some shape or form in your life. And today, you're going to be hearing from Ecolab's industrial program manager, Rachel Hart, who played a very key role in partnering with our team here at Avanade to drive this solution and this outcome. We're going to cover a few things, and specifically, we'll talk about really the evolution of Ecolab sales and service transformation journey, a bit about the background, their business objectives, and what were the specific things that we use to measure their success. You'll also hear us talk about the high-level approach that we took to solving that problem. What were some of the key challenges that we overcame? You'll also hear around the fact that it's a lot more than technology, right? Technology is just one aspect of it. What are the other critical program success factors that needed to come together to ensure success? And then finally, we'll also invite Rachel to share a bit about what are some key takeaways for other organizations that are embarking on a similar transformation journey.
Great. Thanks, Abi. I look forward to hearing it. And yeah, let's transfer over to that conversation now.
Hello, everybody. And let's start with some quick introductions. Rachel, I'd love to start with you.
Thanks, Abi. Rachel Hart. I am the program manager for Ecolab, managing our sales and service industrial platforms, including platforms like Dynamics and Power Apps and anything within the Microsoft stack.
Thank you, Rachel, for being here and graciously agreeing to participate in our discussion today. Dan, would you like to go next?
Yes. Thanks, Abi. Hello, everybody. My name is Dan Seferati. I'm the North America Field Service Lead at Avanade.
Thanks, Dan. Lori, I intentionally saved you for the end because I think you have such a cool background, having been on both sides of the table as a client and now as a partner, which really makes you the perfect person to lead us through this discussion. So with that note, I'll ask you to introduce yourself and also kick us off in this discussion.
All right. Thanks, Abi. So my name is Lori Jarko, and I'm with Avanade. I'm leading our digital sales and service and Power Platform practice for the Midwest. And prior to being with Avanade, so I've now been here for a year, but prior to that, I was responsible for the digital sales and service transformation at Ecolab, working hand in hand with Rachel. So I'm just gonna kick us off and start to ask Rachel some questions about Ecolab and give everyone some background. So, the first thing that comes to my mind is what's the most important asset to Ecolab, and that is their people. They have over half of their employees in the field that are working with their customers every single day. So Rachel, can you tell us about the sales and service industrial teams at Ecolab and what their experience was with their digital solutions at the beginning of this journey?
Sure, Lori. So we started our journey with the digital transformation in 2016. At that time, we only had one division on our Dynamics platform. And since then, we have built that out to include 5 divisions across multiple platforms. But in the very beginning, the divisions had little visibility to the data. It was not easily accessible. They had multiple places that they needed to go to get information, both for themselves and for the customers. And we had inconsistent processes around the globe.
Thank you. So with all of that being said, what do you think one of the most important objectives for this field team was in order for them to accomplish during their digital transformation?
It's really about giving them the opportunity to spend more time with their customers face to face. And so through the digital journey, we wanted to make sure that what we were providing to our field associates would help to free up their time in order to spend more time with the customers.
Client-facing time is very, very important. So in addition to that, I know that there was a lot of outputs from this digital transformation. What were some of the other key business objectives?
To enable global expansion of the tools, as I mentioned, we wanted to standardize the processes and overall communications of our teams.
So if they were able to get more time in front of their customer and able to expand globally, what do you now see as some of the success measures that you guys have put in place?
Sure. So in addition to that additional face time with the customer, we have seen improvements in our field productivity, as well as the service they're providing to our customers. And an acceleration in our sales because they do have that face-to-face time with the customer to spend.
Thank you. It's great to hear about all the business results that we got from this. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the technology. Are you able to describe what that Microsoft landscape looks like at Ecolab and what type of solutions you guys have been able to build on the platform to enable these business results?
Sure. So we started with the Dynamics platform, focusing first on the sales and field service components within it. And so within that, opportunities, account management, but also with field service being able to build out that service functionality so that we would be able to track and show the value to our customers. We then broaden that into the use of things like Power BI and how can we surface insights to our field that they can share with the customers. Also bringing in new technologies like HoloLens and Remote Assist. When COVID hit, we weren't able to go on site with the customers. And so being able to do our service remotely was a key component. Using technologies like Remote Assist enabled us to do that for our customers and to meet our contractual obligations. We've also started to build on the Power Apps platform, and this has also given us the ability to increase the productivity of our field. We have used Power Apps to bring multiple solutions into one place, one platform, for our field to get to everything that they need within their day. This could be insights, it could be the services they need to perform at a customer, it could be logging an opportunity, mobile sampling, taking samples at a customer site that need to be sent into the lab. So those are just some of the things that we've enabled with the Microsoft stack.
Thanks, Rachel. It's great to hear that you guys are really leveraging the Microsoft stack as much as possible and getting those results. Say, Dan Seferati, what are you seeing with other clients when they're leveraging the platform, and what other challenges are their businesses seeing in this space?
One of the first things I want to go back to before I answer that question is something that came up. We talked about people, and one of the top assets that Ecolab has and how important that is. And that is actually something really important to what we see out there today. Other folks, they treat those folks as service ambassadors, trusted advisors. So they are making that constant connection with the customer out there, and they're really the ones who are driving things. So that is one of the biggest things that I am seeing today with some of our customers, and making sure those frontline workers have the tools that they need at as far as them getting their job done, but also making sure that the customer is satisfied. Because customer satisfaction is, as you know, is huge. There are other folks that are out there that are fighting for the business, and with those trusted advisors performing at their top is real important. That's definitely some of the things that we're seeing out there.
Thanks, Dan.
And Lori, this is Abhi, and if I may jump in real quick, we talk to clients about like how do we enable, like we did with Ecolab, outcomes, business outcomes using technology, and specifically the Microsoft Dynamics and Power Platform solution. But the conversation really isn't about technology at all, right? Like as we experience with Ecolab, much of what we do is driven by the experience that we want to create. So while it's really awesome to see the journey that Ecolab has been on and the entire stack that's really coming to life, at the end of the day, it was really about how do we create that integrated, delightful experience for Ecolab's field and service reps. And I share this because we had a conversation with another client this morning, and it was primarily anchored around how do we make sure that we're not just adopting the experience that the platform provides us, but really crafting something that's differentiated that our people can be proud of, thus being able to create better value for our end customers and clients.
Absolutely. You're spot on, Abhi. I think, digital transformation has so many success factors, and technology is not just one of them, right? So, Rachel, what other critical program success factors did we focus on as we were going through this journey?
Sure. So one of the things that really helped us along the journey is making sure that our digital roadmap is really aligned to our business outcomes, and engaging with our business, right? Making sure that we're reaching out to our end users early and getting their input on what we are developing, and ensuring that it is something that is not only something they can use, but something they're going to want to use.
So what other critical success factors did you see when it came to the methodology in which we build these solutions, rather than guessing? When the older IT type of methodology used to be, let's guess what the users want and hand them to them. But I know that Ecolab did this very uniquely, where they had more business people involved. Can you talk a little bit more about that and what you feel like made success from that?
Sure. So one of the approaches that we took was actually having an in-person working session, with multiple day working session with our key field users across all of our divisions, where we gathered information about what is most important to them and how could we engage them in the entire process of the development cycle. So we first gathered that information from them and then engaged them throughout by showing them prototypes, showing them demos every other week with our agile process, and really making them feel a part of the entire journey.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. I also think that helped with adoption as well, and they could tell people what was coming and get excited about it. I remember other areas within Ecolab would come to us and say, "Can I have access to that system? And can I have access?" So it was great. It was great to see, instead of us forcing that technology, to them, they understood how it could deliver value. So in addition to some of the, client-facing objectives and some of the other metrics, were there some unintended business outcomes that you guys were able to achieve?
Absolutely. So the onboarding of new members to our sales and service field teams is actually a much smoother process now, because we've got digitized training materials that they can access directly through some of our platforms. And so they don't necessarily have to go to specialized trainings or things like that to utilize the platforms. We've also improved our customer satisfaction ratings. So one of the things we do within the divisions is to actually survey our field users, and we have found that there's been an increase in the satisfaction from the field users with the tools we're supplying them.
That's great. It's funny that you bring up onboarding because I agree. I remember being on site at a training session with one of our new digital tools, and there was a brand new sales and service rep, and she said, "Wow, I have visibility to all of this data now. I used to have to go back to my laptop and try to figure out how to find it. And when I was on the road, I would have to either print it or call someone for the information, but now it's on my phone." So I think that's a great side benefit, and it was one that the team never expected. And I think in addition to some of those satisfaction ratings, there was also some customers that would come back. I remember the food and beverage division did audits for their customers, and because now they have better visibility to the data of what we're doing for them and what value Ecolab is providing to the customers, those satisfaction surveys also went up. So that's great. And again, those are never planned. So I think one of the messages here is that we may have all these goals and objectives and metrics, but there's going to be some unintended ones that are even more impactful. Is there anything else you'd like to add in the topic of some of those program success factors?
Yeah. So one of the things that we found is that, you really have to ensure that you have the sponsorship from the top of the organization all the way down right to the product team. So it's really important to have that sponsorship in order for the product to be successful. The sponsor can help get the communication out there, help communicate across regions, and to folks in higher level positions that this is coming, and get people excited and talking about it.
Thank you. I agree. And I love that you bring up the sponsorship topic, because this is something that I took for granted when I was at Ecolab, is that there was sponsorship from the top. Our CEO all the way down really believed that digital could improve the business, and we saw those results. And what we're seeing in other clients is that when that sponsorship is at the top, they go faster, they understand the value of digital. And when it's not, when it starts from the middle of the organization, there's always it either goes slower to try to convince leadership it's the right thing to do, or they don't get it done or don't really have the right goals. So I think that's a great takeaway, is that if it starts from the top and we believe in digital transformation, those results are going to be captured even faster.
Yeah, Lori, I'd want to even echo that from some of the customers when we just get initial discussions with them. We emphasize, hey, what you're about to embark on here, it has to come from you throughout the entire organization. And getting those users, like Rachel was talking about earlier, getting them involved early in the sales cycle. So not, this has been sold and now get them involved, but even getting the users involved from the sales cycle standpoint, that what they feel, what they do, and their needs out in the field is real important to them. And we've seen some great feedback by doing that early on in some of our, internal design sessions, trying to help them find the North Star of what they're trying to get to.
Thanks, Dan.
So one of the questions that we contemplate pretty heavily here at Avanade is the role that we want to be playing in enabling our client success, right? And specifically, the question that we've asked ourselves is, how do we transform the way we are organized and the way we go to market, the way we engage with our clients, to be better positioned to create more stories like Ecolab? And I think one such evolution that's really critical and relevant to much of what we talked about today is our pivot as an organization from a product or platform-based services company to be really anchoring around business scenarios and business imperatives. Because Rachel and Lori, you'll recall that we never talked about dynamics or power apps. Sure, that's the technology that we use to configure and enable the end outcome. But when we engage with your business sponsors, and when we were in those workshops in Redmond and Naperville and St. Paul, Minneapolis, it was never about the technology, right? We spoke about what's the outcome, what's the business process, what's the experience, and that's the conversation that we want to be having with our broader set of clients as well. For example, in healthcare, right? The question we're asking and what we're trying to solve for is, how do we transform patient experience? Or if you're a manufacturing or retail client, how do we help you build a resilient supply chain? And one that's probably more relevant to dynamic customer engagement and Power Apps is what we refer to as responsive customer care. And think of the journey that our clients are on and really the journey that they want their end customers to go through. And it's the end-to-end typical journey that we're all seeing, right? Which is, how do you drive awareness to inform consideration? How do you acquire that customer for life and really create an awesome experience for them, provide and deliver that product or service? And then how do you make that a really virtuous cycle that continues to drive brand loyalty and creates a better experience overall? The goal from an Avanade standpoint is, how do we anticipate and meet the needs of our customers throughout every step of that journey? We'll then figure out how do we drive the right technology outcomes using Dynamic CE or Power Platform or anything else in the Microsoft ecosystem. Personally, that's the thing that keeps me most excited in my role. I'll share a personal example around, when I joined Avanade almost 9 years ago, like 2 years into my role, I had this moment where I was like, oh man, I really don't want to be known as the CRM guy for the rest of my life. And I kind of still am, but what keeps me motivated in my role and the story that I tell, folks that join our team, as well as clients that we engage with, is that it's not about CRM at all, right? And it never really was. It's about how do we solve complex, interesting business problems that helps our clients achieve their business goals.
This has been another episode of the MSDW podcast. My thanks to Abi and the rest of our guests, Rachel, Lori, and Dan, for joining. If your organization is on a similar journey and you want to learn more, you can reach out to Abi by email, abhishek.sridhar@avanade.com, or connect with him on LinkedIn. We will leave both of those links in the show notes. And that's it for this episode. To reach me, you can send an email to jgumpert@msdynamicsworld.com. And for all of our updates, follow MS Dynamics World on Twitter and LinkedIn. Until next time, this is MS Dynamics World, signing off.